English learners. This is Mia from Clip Your English, and I'm here with my co-host Ethan. Welcome back to another episode.
Hey everyone, great to be here with you all today. So Mia, what's on our agenda?
Well, today we're diving into something that confuses so many English learners: the differences between American and British English. It's not just about accents.
Oh, absolutely. There are vocabulary differences, spelling changes, even grammar variations that can totally throw you off.
By the end of this episode, you'll know exactly which words might surprise people depending on whether you're in London or New York. And trust me,
Trust her on this one.
some of these differences are pretty hilarious. Like, did you know that in Britain, if you ask someone about their pants, you might get a very shocked reaction?
Oh, we'll get to that one later. Stick around. You might discover you've been mixing these up without even realizing it.
So, Ethan, before we jump in, why do you think this topic matters so much for English learners?
Well, think about it. If you're taking an English exam like IELTS, you might encounter British English. But if you're watching Netflix or YouTube, most content is American English.
Exactly. And if you're planning to work internationally or travel or even just chat with people online, knowing these differences can save you from some pretty awkward moments.
Definitely. I remember when I first learned that rubber means something completely different in America versus Britain.
Ooh, good example. We'll cover that one too. But first, let's start with some basic vocabulary differences that might blow your mind.
All right, vocabulary time. Mia, let's start with something everyone uses daily.
Perfect. So you're thirsty and you want some water. In Britain, you might go to what's the word?
The tap.
Right, but in America.
The faucet. Same thing, totally different words.
And speaking of water, if you're in Britain and feeling peckish, you might grab some crisps, but Americans would call them
Chips. But wait, this gets confusing because British chips are what Americans call fries.
Uh-oh. See how tricky this gets? So fish and chips in London, but fish and fries in New York? Sort of.
Well, Americans would probably say fish and chips too, but they'd picture something different.
Let me give you another one. You know when you need to throw something away? In Britain, you use the
bin, or rubbish bin.
but Americans use the
The trash can, or garbage can.
Now, here's a fun one for our listeners. Ethan, what do you call that thing you use to change TV channels?
Oh, in America, it's the remote control, or just remote.
And in Britain?
The remote control too, but lots of people say the clicker, or even, wait for it, the zapper.
I love the zapper. It sounds so much more fun.
Okay, here's one that gets people every time. Mia, you're going to the second floor of a building in Britain. Which floor do you ask for?
The first floor?
Exactly. Because the British ground floor is the American first floor.
So confusing, right? American second floor equals British first floor.
Let's do a quick quiz for our listeners. I'll say a British word, and you guess the American version. Ready?
Let's do it.
Lift,
Elevator.
petrol,
Gasoline or just gas?
biscuit.
Ooh, this one's tricky. Cookie. But wait, American biscuits are totally different. They're like savory scones?
Exactly. British biscuits are sweet cookies. American biscuits are fluffy bread rolls.
And here's my favorite. Ethan, what do you call those long yellow fruits?
Bananas?
Okay, that one's the same. But what about those orange root vegetables?
Oh, carrots in both countries.
All right. Let me think of a better one. What do British people call that rubber thing you use to erase pencil marks?
A rubber. But in America, that word means, well, something else entirely.
Exactly.
Americans call it an eraser. And if an American heard you asking for a rubber in a store,
They might get the wrong idea. Very wrong idea.
Okay, let's talk about spelling. This one drives me crazy sometimes.
Why's that?
Well, you know how spell check on your computer or phone sometimes marks perfectly correct British words as wrong?
Oh, yeah. That's because most software defaults to American English.
Exactly. So let's break down the main patterns. The biggest one is the OUR versus OR endings.
Right, so British English keeps the French-influenced spelling. Color becomes color, favor becomes favor.
Honor becomes honor, flavor becomes flavor. You get the pattern.
What about the ER versus RE endings?
Oh, yes. Theater becomes theater, center becomes centre.
And here's one that confuses a lot of students, the ISE versus IZE endings.
British English often uses S, so organize, realize, recognize.
But American English uses Z, organize, realize, recognize.
Yo, it's getting complicated these days because British English sometimes accepts the Z versions too.
Really?
Yeah, Oxford spelling actually prefers Z in many cases, but most Brits still use S.
What about double letters? That's another big one.
Oh, this drives me nuts. British English loves doubling letters before adding endings.
Like,
Traveled, canceled, modeling.
but American English keeps it simple, traveled, canceled, modeling.
One L instead of two. Though Americans do double some letters, like MM in swimming.
The logic isn't always, well, logical.
English logic. Here's a fun one. Gray versus gra.
British gray with an E, American gray with an A.
I remember it like this. Gray for England, gra for America.
That's clever. What about defense versus defense?
American with S, British with C.
And license versus license?
This one's tricky. In American English, it's always license. But in British English,
It depends. License is the verb, license is the noun.
so you license someone, but they get a driving license.
My brain hurts.
Tell me about it.
All right, let's talk about the fun stuff. How words actually sound different.
Ooh, I love this part. Okay, so the biggest difference is what linguists call rhotic versus non-rhotic.
English teacher mode activated.
Sorry. Basically, Americans pronounce our sounds at the end of words in syllables. Brits often don't.
So car in America sounds like car, but in Britain it's more like ka.
Right. Water becomes wada. Better becomes betta.
But not all British accents do this, right?
True. Scottish and Irish accents are rhotic, like American accents.
What about individual words that sound completely different?
Oh, there are so many. Let's start with schedule.
Americans say schedule.
But Brits say schedule.
Which sounds more logical to you?
Honestly, the British version makes more sense with the spelling, but I'm used to the American way.
What about dance?
Americans say dance with that flat A sound,
Brits say dance with that longer A sound.
like aunt. Americans often say aunt, Brits say aunt.
Privacy.
Ooh, good one. Americans say privacy.
Brits say privacy.
Advertisement.
Americans stress the second syllable. Advertisement.
Brits stress the third. Advertisement.
Wait, do they? I think Brits say advertisement.
Oh, you're right. See how confusing this gets?
What about tomato?
The classic one. Americans say tomato, Brits say tomato.
You say tomato, I say tomato.
That doesn't work in writing.
Ha ha ha. True.
What about aluminum?
Wait, that's not just pronunciation. Brits spell it differently too.
Right. Aluminium with an extra I.
So Americans say aluminum. Brits say aluminium.
Here's a quick tip for our listeners who want to sound more British.
Oh, this should be good.
Drop those R sounds at the end of syllables and use longer A sounds in words like dance, chance, answer.
And for sounding more American?
Emphasize those R sounds. Use flatter A sounds. And don't forget the T sounds in the middle of words.
What do you mean by T sounds?
Well, Americans often turn T into a D sound in the middle of words. Water sounds like waiter. Better like better.
But Brits keep the T sound clearer?
Usually, yeah, though it depends on the accent.
Now let's talk about grammar. And yes, there are differences.
Really? I thought grammar was grammar.
Nope. Let's start with present perfect versus simple past.
Uh-oh. This sounds complicated.
It's not too bad. Americans are more likely to use simple past, where Brits use present perfect.
Can you give an example?
Sure. If you lost your keys, an American might say, I lost my keys.
And a Brit would say,
I've lost my keys. Or, I have lost my keys.
both are correct though, right?
Absolutely. It's just a preference thing.
What about gotten?
Oh, that's a big one. Americans love gotten as the past participle of get.
I've gotten better at English.
But Brits usually say got. I've got better at English.
Though I've got, meaning I have, is used in both.
Right. I've got a car works everywhere.
What about collective nouns? I heard there's a difference there.
Yes. Americans treat collective nouns as singular. The team is playing well.
But Brits might say the team are playing well?
Exactly. The government are considering new policies sounds normal in Britain, but weird to Americans.
What about prepositions?
Ooh, good one. Americans say on the weekend. Brits say at the weekend.
Americans say in the hospital. Brits say in hospital.
Wait, that's interesting. No the in British English for hospital.
Same with university. Americans say in college. Brits say at university.
What about different?
Americans say different than. Brits prefer different from.
Though different too is also common in Britain.
This is making my head spin.
One more. Americans write to someone. Brits write to someone too. Wait, that's the same.
What about protests?
Americans protest something. Brits protest against something.
The preposition makes all the difference.
All right, this is my favorite part. Idioms and expressions that are totally different.
Mine too. Let's start with being tired.
Americans might say, I'm beat, or I'm wiped out.
But Brits say, I'm knackered.
Knackered. I love that word. What about being confused?
Americans might say, I'm totally lost.
Brits might say, I'm completely baffled, or I haven't got a clue.
What about when something goes wrong?
Americans say, throw a wrench in the works.
Brits say, throw a spanner in the works.
Same idea, different tool.
Here's a fun one. Offering someone tea or coffee.
Americans might say, want some coffee?
Brits say, fancy a cuppa?
Cuppa, short for cup of tea.
What about going crazy?
Americans might say, going nuts, or losing it.
Brits might say going mental or going barmy.
Barmy, another great British word.
Oh, here's one that causes confusion. Quite.
How so?
If a Brit says something is quite good, they might mean it's just okay.
But Americans would think that means very good.
Exactly. British quite can be understated.
What about cheers?
Americans only use it for toasts with drinks.
But Brits use it to mean thanks or goodbye.
Cheers, mate.
And speaking of mate, that's very British, isn't it?
Yeah, Americans would say buddy or dude.
All right, let's answer some common questions we get about this topic.
First one, is Quillbot British or American English?
Quillbot, the writing tool, uses American English as its default.
So if you're writing in British English, you might need to double-check its suggestions.
Next question, do Indians use UK or US English?
That's a great question. India was a British colony, so traditionally it's been British English.
But with American movies, TV shows, and internet content, there's lots of American influence now.
So you'll hear a mix. Indians might spell color with a U, but pronounce schedule the American way.
Does British English use S or Z in words like organize?
Traditionally, British English prefers S, organize, realize, specialize.
But remember, Oxford spelling often uses Z, so you might see both.
Last question, the pants situation.
Right. In Britain, pants means underwear.
What Americans call pants, Brits call trousers.
So, if you tell a Brit you like their pants,
Very awkward.
what Americans call underwear, Brits might call pants or knickers for women.
And American panties would be British knickers. See why this topic matters? Wow, we covered a lot today.
We did. Let's recap quickly.
We talked about vocabulary differences, like taps versus faucets, and lifts versus elevators.
Spelling patterns, color versus color, traveling versus traveling.
Pronunciation differences, like schedule, tomato, and dance.
Grammar variations, present perfect usage, collective nouns.
And fun idioms, like knackered versus beat, cuppa versus coffee.
The key takeaway? Both varieties are perfectly correct.
Absolutely. Choose one and be consistent, but don't worry if you mix them sometimes.
Especially in our globalized world, people understand both.
My advice? Watch British shows like The Office, UK version, and American shows like Friends.
Read books from both sides of the Atlantic.
And don't stress too much. Communication is what matters most.
So, which differences surprised you the most?
Yeah, comment below and tell us your favorite British or American word, or one that totally confuses you.
We love hearing from you guys.
And if this episode helped you understand the differences better, make sure to hit that like button.
Subscribe for more English conversations every week. We've got tons more topics coming up.
Share this with anyone who's ever been confused by these differences.
Until next time, keep practicing your English.
Whether it's British, American, or your own unique mix, you're doing great.
Cheers!
See you next time.